Any local business owner can rank higher on Google, but if you want to rank faster and actually get a steady stream of clients, so you can consistently hit 5 or 6 figure monthly marks, well, then you need to focus on what actually moves the needle. Over the last 2.5 years, all I've done is local SEO. My agency has worked with dozens of clients now. I've personally consulted with hundreds of business owners, and most of those businesses are still showing up in page 1 while their competitors are on page 3 or worse. But I'll be honest, I didn't need 2.5 years to learn all this stuff, and I just wish someone would sit down with every local business owner and tell them the truth from day one. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do in this video. I'll be revealing the 6 harsh truths you need to know if you want to rank your business on Google locally. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it with number 1, competition matters a lot. After consulting with hundreds of businesses, I've noticed a typical table. Either you have a high population area or you're in a low population area, and there's either a lot of businesses or there's not that many businesses. Now, if there's not that many businesses and you're in a low population area, well, it shouldn't be that hard to rank, but also it might not be that important because there's only so many people that are searching for your business. So even though there's not that many people searching, it's still important to try to show up, and it might not be that hard to show up. Now, if you're in a highly populated area and there's not that much competition, like say there's only a couple property appraisers in your area, perfect. This is like the perfect scenario for local SEO. You need to get on it right away, start showing up, and hopefully those people will start clicking on your website, filling out contact form submissions, giving you calls, and it's going to be awesome. Now, if you're in a highly populated area and there's a lot of competition, that's probably the hardest scenario, but that's good because there's a lot of search traffic. And so it might just take longer to show up over time, but that's okay. The last scenario is there's high competition, but there's less population. So again, kind of like the last scenario, you got to make sure people are searching for your business before you put in all this hard work. Now, just like the low competition one, you need to make sure that people are actually searching for your business before you put in the time and effort. Because again, this is going to take time for you to really show up, but the time and effort can be worth it if those few people find your business. All right, I just want to show you guys some real life examples here. This is high population, low competition, and this is a garage door installation company, just for reference. And they started with 44 impressions, and about 4 months later, they're at 191 impressions per day. So that's the amount of times they're seen on Google per day, massively higher. Now let's show the graph for a roofing company, which is high population, high competition, tons of roofing companies in this town. And you can see their impressions started off at about 58, and now they're at 668. Now that took a year, and I can remember these guys, they were way lower than that when we first started working together, but now they're really showing up on the first page for a ton of stuff, and that's for a very competitive keyword, okay? So that's a pretty clear-cut case between low competition and high competition. The garage door company is able to be seen faster in more places because there's just less people doing that in this particular town, while the roofers are in a completely different situation, but they were able to chip away. It just took more time. And now it's time for the second harsh truth, and it's that authority is king. Now, when you go to check out the other SEO videos over here, they might tell you that content is king, and you want to make sure you write content that ranks. But if you want to know the real truth, that's you see, SEMrush has this tool called the keyword overview, and you can look up your top keyword. And when you scroll down here, you can actually see the results from the SERP. And I want you to pay attention to this column, and you can see it goes 23, 8, 15, 8, 7, and then we get a couple that are a little bit higher. But the general trend is that the higher the authority, the higher they rank. And you can also see the first one right here, Then Can Designs. Don't know who those guys are. Maybe check out the name of the channel if you're new here. But again, generally speaking, the more authority the site has, which is what this column shows right here, the higher that you will rank. The way you build authority in local SEO is you get more websites pointing back to your website that are locally relevant and also industry relevant. Are you listed on all the websites that are relevant for your industry? Are you listed on all the citations that show that you're a local business? This is probably some of the most important stuff for local SEO, and most local business owners do not understand that this is how Google works. If you don't understand how Google works, how are you going to show up higher? Okay, so I just told you the truth, but now I got to tell you another harsh truth. Content is still important. Now, I know a second ago I said that the statement content is king is BS, and I stand by that 100%. But if you don't have any content to point your links to, then you're not going to be able to rank for anything. And the real secret that I want you to know behind this is that you don't need as much content as you think. Now, some of the biggest advice that's been coming out, especially in the last 12 months for local SEO, is that you need a page for every service that you offer. Then underneath that, you need a page for every service area that you service. There is some value to this. But what a lot of YouTubers don't take the time to explain to you is that you don't want to launch all these pages right away. For instance, just the other day, I saw somebody launch a website with 60 pages. That's a ton. Most of our clients' websites are about 10, 15, maybe 20 pages in the early days. Now, sure, we have clients that are getting into the 30s, the 40s. We have one client that's a mortgage broker. They have about 100 pages on their website because they have a lot of loan products and their service area is big. And they have multiple physical locations, and so they have a lot of service areas. That makes sense. But if you're launching a website for a client or you're working on your own website, then you have to think, what are my most important pages? This is where keyword research comes in. This is where the planning comes in. If you don't have a clear plan, if you're just doing SEO, then you might just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. But you know who that looks bad to? Google. You have the site with no authority that now has 60 pages overnight. That looks spammy. And if your goal is to just build more pages, to build topical authority, which is really, then that's probably not going to work. Start with a solid base where you have a page for each one of the services you offer in your main service location. Then, once those pages are dialed in, you can start to duplicate slowly in different locations. But also at the same time, you want to start building authority. That's the secret, people. You want to do all this slowly, methodically, and most importantly, naturally. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, this sounds like a lot of work. And that's exactly why people typically hire somebody to help them with their SEO. So for these next couple harsh truths, I'm going to talk about what it looks like to hire SEO professionals. Now, harsh truth number 4 is that SEO freelancers can suck. Now, I'm going to assume that you're not looking at a scammer right now because unfortunately there are a lot of scammers in the SEO industry, but I'm going to assume you did not go to a marketplace, that you actually vetted this person a little bit and you're like, okay, I think this person can actually do a good job. There's 2 reasons why I think freelancers can suck. The first is that they don't have any experience. SEO, for better or worse, is a no barriers to entry industry. I actually think that's really cool. You can learn from experience, but that's the thing. You got to learn from experience. In Local SEO Academy, which is my little local SEO community with about 30 to 40 local SEO providers where I actually provide coaching and there's a community there. The most important thing I try to teach people in there is that you cannot provide services until you've gotten your reps in. And sure, I provide courses in there to help them, but their first client is themselves. You got to start getting your own site to rank higher. And unfortunately, that's hard because web designers and SEO people tend to do SEO. But then you kind of got to give it away. Find one of your old web design clients and give that service away. Get the reps in so you can get better at this. I often recommend that they either give it away one more time to another client or do like a discounted package for a few months. But by that point, they've got a few reps in, they're starting to build confidence, they're seeing how the system works. Awesome. And so as a local business owner, you have to ask this potential SEO a tough question. How many clients do you have? And I would try to get a definitive answer. Now, I know for me, I'd have to look that up because we're typically adding new clients all the time and it's hard to keep track of that number in my head. But I could tell you in 2 minutes that we have 15 active clients and we have 4 clients that are kind of on the fence right now because they're going through like personal times, things like that. And I'm a compassionate guy. I don't kick people to the curb. But if they can't give you a definitive answer or if it just takes them a long time, I would be worried. But if they give you a number that's less than 3, I would be pretty worried. But there's another place to be worried, and this is the second reason why freelancers can suck. Freelancers get too busy because if they answer 7 to 10 or more, then you got to ask a different question. What's your team look like? And if they say, oh, I'm an agency of 1, I'm doing this all by myself, but they have 7 to 10 clients, let me tell you why that's not a good idea. You should be doing at least 1 hour per week per client if you're doing local SEO, right? And that's after you've done the initial setup. I think in the early days, you should be spending about 10 hours at least in those first couple of weeks. And you're probably spending about 5 to 10 hours per week in the middle months. So think about it. If they have 7 clients, there's probably 1 or 2 that are in the early phase, probably 1 or 2 that are in that build phase, and maybe 3 that are in that maintenance phase. That's like 30 hours. They're probably also marketing their business. They're probably making social media posts. They're probably also keeping track of their books, because if they haven't hired somebody for SEO, they probably haven't hired a bookkeeper. This is not a sustainable model. SEOs get busy, and what happens is things just slip through the cracks. You know how I know this? Because it's happened to me. Before I hired my first subcontractor, this is how I lost my first couple clients. I wasn't providing the results that I really wanted to give to my clients. And that's why I needed to reach out for help. So If you're interviewing in SEO and they say that they have about 7 to 10 clients, but they don't have help, I'd probably run away. And this might make you think, well, I should probably hire an agency then. They have team members built in. That seems like the way to go. Well, that brings me to harsh truth number 5, which is that most SEO agencies suck. And again, there's 2 main reasons for this. The first reason is that they're just too big. A lot of the SEO agencies you'll find online, especially in every major city, have thousands and thousands of clients. The person you're interacting with is just a sales rep, and they're going to pass you off to an account manager that has a certain amount of clients that they're in charge of. And then they usually offload that to some sort of white label SEO service that's, working over there. And the thing is, they really don't care how good of results they get for you. Now, maybe you get a good account manager that gives a and they'll actually try to get you to rank higher. But the thing is, they're not actually doing the work. And so, they're just hoping that the team over there can do a good job. You see, big agencies are actually in the business of client acquisition. They don't care about retention. They realize they're going to lose more than half of their clients every year. And so they put all of their efforts in business growth into client acquisition. What's best to get more clients? When really that's counterintuitive to what you actually need to do to grow your business. And this is also true for those agencies that are in downtown and your town. They probably only have like 1 to 300 clients, but the customer service can really start to dip quickly. And so you got to dig deeper in what's the processes, who's actually doing the work. I just want to know. I don't want it to be the business owner because that means they're going to be overwhelmed, but you want to make sure there's a good, solid team, that they have a system in place and that they're implementing that. Because I can say at this point, we're starting to get the clients from the big agencies because we're focused more on that customer service and the results and the retention and not the acquisition. And by the way, that brings me to the second reason why most agencies suck, and it's because of these growth phases. If you've grown your business at all, maybe it was just you that was installing the roofs back in the day, and now you got some help. Or maybe you started the chiropractic practice, but you've been able to hire a massage therapist and an office person and a second practitioner, and you're like, okay, a couple more people and I can take a big step back. We're almost there. Well, the same thing is true with small marketing agencies, right? We have growth phases that we hit where we're not able to provide the best results. I gave an example earlier where I was the busy freelancer. I needed to get help. I got my SEO project manager, Gabe, shout out to Gabe, and he was able to just take a ton off of my plate. I was able to relax and I was able to get into the high level strategy and start teaching him how to get into the high level strategy phase. And when he needed to step back because he got a cool international opportunity, we needed more help. And so we got somebody else. And for a little bit, there was some tension and we did lose another client in that phase, but we were able to get through that. We got our SEO tech, Sajib, who does an amazing job and helps with the strategy all the time. And we have really built a solid core for our SEO team. And most recently, we noticed that our project management tool, which has historically been Notion, we were just outgrowing it. And so we have a new operations person, Eleanor, who's fantastic. And she's been helping us get ready for the transition to ClickUp. We've even brought in a VA to help with that transition. And I hope that they can stick around long term. But do you see what I'm talking about here? We went from chaos in our old project management system to having some clarity now. So there was a point about 2 months ago where I was worried to take on a lot more clients. I actually pulled back on my marketing a little bit intentionally because I knew if we added 5 more clients in that system, we might have fallen apart. And the thing is, a lot of agency owners don't think like that. They just think growth, growth, growth. But now that we have these systems set up, we have the team in place, we could double our clients tomorrow. I think we would be just fine. Actually, we might need to pull on one more person, but we have the systems in place to do that now. So you got to look out for when these businesses are in growth phases. How can you detect that? Well, that's really hard. I would always ask them to show results. Can you just show me a couple case studies really quick? And if they're hesitant to show you because they're like, well, I don't really want to reveal my clients, that's okay. That's actually a sign of a really good provider, but they should have a couple case studies where the names are blocked out and things like that off to the side, either in a slide deck or a couple screenshots they can show you. That's fine. If you want to see one of our case studies, there's a video right here where you can see how to get $30,000 per month from Google. We did that for a cabinet maker in our town. By the way, I think he's going to hit $1 million this year, for real. I think he's getting 6 figures per month, but we need to verify those numbers, but that's based on what he told me in our last meeting. I think he might be hitting that. But anyway, I digress. The point is, you should just ask for some case studies. If it seems like they have some quick examples and they're more recent, then that means they're probably not in a growth phase. But if they're a little bit older, stale case studies, maybe they just haven't been able to update. You can say, hey, can you give me an example of something maybe more recent? And if you just see them kind of spinning their wheels, there might be a disconnect. Everything's not in sync. That feels like a growth phase to me. Because if everything's in sync, then people should know where the wins are happening, or they should be able to find one really quick and be like, oh, let me show you this. And they kind of block out the name of the client or something like that. And they show you like a Google Search Console. That'd be good too. And now it's time for the harsh truth that SEOs probably don't want me to tell you. And that's that you could do all this yourself. No, I'm serious. If you're a local business owner and you sort of kind of know how to use the internet, you can absolutely do all of this yourself. And if that's the case, I think you have two options. Option number one is for the person that's got about 10 to 15 hours per week. If you're just getting started and you want to get ahead of the game and you got time to work on your marketing, then you want to get my 30-day local SEO playbook. This is seriously over 100 pages. It's completely free. And I literally break down everything. The problem is that of the hundreds of people that have downloaded this already, a few dozen people have reached back out to me and said they're getting pretty awesome results and they're excited to keep going with it. But most people get in there and they're just like, well, I don't have enough time to do this. So I was trying to figure out like, what can I do for somebody that's got like 5 to 10 hours per week? That person is ready to implement, but they don't have the time to sit down and create the plan. That is the most time consuming part of the local SEO process, and people don't want to admit that, right? And the thing is, AI is not there. It can't just create an SEO plan for you that's actually going to be useful. And so what we've come up with is this thing called an SEO roadmap. But this is only for local business owners that are serious, because you're going to have to spend some dough. Because we start with a clarity call to make sure we're all on the same page. Then we actually do the research that's needed for everything that's most important for local SEO. If you're subscribed to this channel, you already know what that is, so I don't need to tell you. And then at the end, you sit down with me, we suss this out for an hour. Okay, I'm not going to say the price out loud because I know it's going to go up over time, but right now it's a low price. It's going to be the first link below. So you definitely want to check that out if you feel like you're serious and you just need clarity. But ultimately, you don't want to be doing this. You want to be installing the roofs until the point where you can hire people to help you install the roofs. Again, you want to be seeing your patients so you can grow that practice to the point where you're not seeing all the patients. But if you're on YouTube watching videos about SEO, well, then maybe you were burned by an SEO company and that's why you're watching this. But most of the people that watch my videos, they're just not quite there at the point where they can hire somebody that they can trust just yet. So again, you have two options. If you're ready to take the leap and get some clarity, first link below is that SEO roadmap. Again, it's the best price I can do right now, and it's going to go up over time. And then the second link below is that 30-day local SEO playbook. There's going to be a video right here that's an hour and a half long where I break down every single day. That's 30 days worth of local SEO actions. If you can spend 30 weeks doing one day at a time, I guarantee you would be in a better spot. But if you don't have the time to do that, check out that SEO roadmap link, and I'll catch you in the next video.